Okay, this story is one of those stories where you really have to look at the details to know what is the story. Is this a big story or not? The story is that Democratic vice presidential nominee Kamala Harris has now confirmed that if she and Joe Biden are elected, that they would decriminalize the use of marijuana at the federal level. Now, everybody went crazy for different reasons. Kamala Harris outlined at an event through Facebook Live with ABC the broad strokes of the proposal. And it includes, among other things, which I will get to, full federal decriminalization of the use of marijuana. You had some people on the right who are just furious, who say decriminalizing marijuana use is the first step to anarchy. It's the first step to rampant out of control addiction and chaos everywhere. Biden must be stopped. And then you have people on the left who are saying, this is so lame. This is so centrist. Decriminalize use. We must legalize use. We must decriminalize small scale dealing of marijuana. This is way too right wing for me. So what's the truth? The truth is one that most people don't want to accept, which is progress typically comes in steps. I believe we need full legalization of use, regulate it, tax it. Selling it on the street becomes sort of like selling illegal cigarettes, and you deal with it like a health issue instead of a criminal issue when you have substance abuse issues. Without question, though, a federal decriminalization would be a big deal, but it would just be one step. With another 4 years of Trump, we get nothing. We just get nothing, simply nothing, period. Now, there are also people mad that Kamala flip-flopped. Kamala used to be against legalization and decriminalization 10 years ago. Well, she's changed her view and we should applaud that. In other words, there are lots of elected officials who eventually came around to better positions, and they shouldn't be shamed for that. What some people call flip-flopping sometimes is flip-flopping merely for sort of political posturing purposes. But sometimes you evolve because you actually get more information, or you mature, or you come around to the right point of view. So in 2019, she sponsored legislation which would federally deschedule cannabis. That would be a great thing to do. And overall, we should be glad that she changed her mind. Now, let's be real. There's a major gap between decriminalization and legalization. If you legalize cannabis, you can regulate it similar to alcohol and tobacco. You can tax it. To decriminalize cannabis merely removes criminal sanctions when you offend or break the law. Cannabis could remain illegal. Possession above a certain amount could result in civil fines or drug education or treatment instead of criminal prosecution. So it is not a panacea. It is not the end point, but it is a step forward. Joe Biden, by the way, wouldn't just federally decriminalize, but according to his website, would also expunge prior cannabis use convictions. That's a good thing. That gets a bunch of people cleared. It's certainly not going to impact low-level dealers who are sitting in prison, and we need to deal with that. But it is a step forward. Joe Biden also supports the legalization of medical cannabis at the federal level, but again, would leave decisions about adult recreational use up to the states. So listen, this is one of those times where we just have to be very real and pragmatic. If Biden gets to do what is on his platform, it would be the most progressive federal cannabis policy in the history of a sitting president, period. I get that we want to do more. I get that many of us feel that it's 2020 and this is not enough. And we need to be catching up to other countries that have dealt with this in more progressive ways already. But if Biden gets in and he does this stuff, the U.S. would be as progressive as it has ever been when it comes to the regulation of cannabis. If they do this, it will lead to more legalization in more states for sure. There will be states who, if they see decriminalized federally, expunging convictions, so on and so forth, there will be states that maybe right now are 53 to 47 against legalization that will say, look what's happening federally. Let's do it. You know, other states have done it. Massachusetts did it, Colorado, etc. This will be a major step forward. And of course, we want more, but let's not miss the forest for the trees. And much like with healthcare, is Biden's idea perfect? Of course not. Does Biden's platform on healthcare fix all of the problems we've identified? Not even close. But if Trump got his way, 30 million people would lose coverage. Okay? Let's not miss the forest for the trees. We're going to have more on this on our Instagram account. Follow us there at David Pakman Show. Follow me on Instagram at david.pakman for pictures from my vacation, which I will talk about on today's bonus show.